There are over 400 nodes on n8n, and I know n8n takes time to master, but it doesn't need to be so difficult or time-consuming to learn it, because in this video, I'm going to go over the 20 nodes that you need to master 80% of n8n. This video is the 80-20 rule of n8n, and by the end of this video, you'll be ready to start building some useful automations for both yourself and for clients. I'll walk you through each node, what they do, and when you would use them. Join my school community, the AI Avengers Lab, down below for weekly calls with me and my team, get a closer guidance from me, and even a free Go high level account, which is otherwise worth $97 a month, but without our systems and community. If you want one-on-one consulting with me personally, fill out the form down below and I'll get back to you myself. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I will divide this video into 6 different parts. So there's the triggers, which trigger the workflow, and the AI, utilize AI and ChatGPT and the other LLMs. And then there's the data, which is for data processing and flows, so how the automation flows and how it works and the sequences, and then the webhooks and the API. So first, let's start off with the triggers. So there are 5 different types of triggers that you need to know. First is the manual one. So this is when you want to manually execute a workflow yourself. This is usually used if it's an automation, but you want to trigger it yourself manually, or if you're just testing out a new system that you're building. So it's pretty simple. Just click on execute workflow and it's going to work. And then the second one is when chat message received. So this is when you would be using an n8n chatbot, which you can use to embed onto your website as a widget. And I'll be making a video on that soon, so stay tuned for that. But first, if you want to see the triggers, just click on plus and then click on add another trigger here. And then you can see all the different triggers that you can select: form submission, chat message, on a schedule. But anyways, I'll just continue. And then there is on form submission. So this is n8n's native form. So you can think of it like a Google form or like a type form or a tally form. So anyways, you can try it here. And tutorial class, this is where how we learn to use n8n's first name and email. So once somebody fills in this form, this workflow is going to trigger with these variables as the inputs. So let's just quickly click on execute step. So yeah, here I can type it in. So John, and my name, email is john@gmail.com, form submitted. And as you can see here, so it has loaded the data that I entered. So johnjim@gmail.com, submitted at this time, and form mode is test. So yeah, that's basically how an on-form submission works. So you can use this as an alternative to Google Forms. So let's go on to the next one. So the schedule trigger. So this is if you want to schedule a workflow to run at a certain time. So like, for example, like once every month, once every 2 weeks, or like every Friday at 4 p.m. or something. So let's just quickly go in here. So yeah, you can choose the interval. So days, seconds, months, yeah, custom cron. So this is, for example, every Friday at 2, 3 p.m. and also every Tuesday at 2 p.m. or something like that. So if you go on custom cron, you can enter your expression here. And if you don't know how to do it, you can just use ChatGPT to generate the expression for you. But anyways, what I can do is like every day, let's trigger every 3 days, trigger at like 7 p.m., trigger at 20. So every 7:20 p.m., every 3 days, this automation is going to trigger, for example. So yeah, this is how the schedule trigger works. And then the next one is when you use an app for a trigger. So for example, like this is a Gmail trigger. So this is going to trigger every minute. So every minute, it's going to check my Gmail inbox and look for a new email that's come in. So you can select the event here. So message received. Actually, that's like the only option. But anyways, you can select other like apps as triggers. So on app event. So for example, like whenever a new row is added into Airtable, another example that we can try is Google Drive on changes involving a specific folder. Whenever something is created in this new folder here. So for this one, it's going to check every minute whether a new file was added to this specific folder or file was deleted. Every time that there's a change in a specific folder, this will trigger and it will check every minute. So it's not going to come in instantly. So for example, if a change is made at 1:55, 30 seconds, then this will register and trigger the workflow at 1:56. So that's basically a rundown of how app-specific events are triggered. And now let's go on to the AI section. So this is where we actually use AI in our n8n workflows. So remember, n8n is an workflow automation software. So by default, there is no AI involved in n8n. However, AI will be involved if you use one of these 3 ones. So these are not the only ones, but they're the most commonly used AI nodes. Let's go into information extractor here. So what this does is basically you provided all the text that you want to process. And then from there, you can ask AI to extract the relevant information information. So I'll just quickly go through a quick example here. So this is just a generic email between John and James. So this is an email from James to John. I just put in the text here. And anyways, let's go on to attributes. So attributes are the information that the AI is going to extract. So it's going to extract the sender, it's going to extract the recipient, the company name, and the price. And if you absolutely need something, so for example, like sender and recipient, and you know that it's going to be in the text that you provide, then yeah, you can just click required. If you're not sure, then yeah, you can just leave it blank. So anyways, let's just execute the information extractor. Let's connect it to here, and then let's execute the workflow. And let's just go in here, and as you can see, it got the sender, the recipient. James sent the email, John received it. James works at Nexora Solutions, and the price is $45,000. So yeah, if you just want some like quick processing and you just want a clean output like this, and you just want these specific data points, then you would use the information extractor. And you would use an AI agent for more complex workflows and when you need access to certain tools. So for example, like this AI agent here is connected to a chat model, so it's going to use Anthropic. So the AI agent is going to use Claude 4 for all the activities that it's going to do and provide it memory, so memory of past interactions that you've had with the AI agent. And you would use an AI agent when you needed to access tools and make modifications, such as logging information into your CRM, or if you're adding data to a spreadsheet. So for example, if I want to create an AI agent that modifies a spreadsheet for me, then I would click on tool and then type in Google Sheets and then just give it all the tools that you need. So for example, like get row, and then you can select Google Docs as well if you wanted to create a Google Doc. Another really good thing about AI agents is its ability to make decisions for itself. So if there's going to be a lot of variations and you just want the AI to make the decision for itself, you would use this feature. And yeah, you can do the same basically here. It could be adding new rows to different spreadsheets, for example. So for example, you might be adding rows to a sales spreadsheet, to like a stock list spreadsheet or a payroll spreadsheet. And in that case, you would just leave it to the AI agent to decide. So you would just click these two, and that's basically it. By giving it access to these tools, it's able to get the rows in a Google Sheet and add new rows to it or delete rows, whatever. So that's basically the AI agent. So you can think of it as your employee, basically, an employee that works 24/7 and does boring, repetitive tasks that nobody wants to do, but also a little bit more complex. So like, for example, like logging information to a CRM, it's repetitive, but it does require some variation. It's not strictly deterministic, so you would use an AI agent. And then let's go on to the basic LLM chain. This is basically like using ChatGPT. Let's say you want to process some information, right? You would use this LLM chain. You would use this for something like writing a draft email, for example. So the main difference between a basic LLM chain and an AI agent is that an AI agent, it actually takes action on the software that you connect to it. Whereas a basic LLM chain, it's only going to output a text. So this is, for example, writing a draft email for you, but you want to check it yourself first before you upload anything. So that's when you would use a basic LLM chain, and then you can connect your AI model here. So I've connected the OpenAI chat model here. So that's it for the AI nodes, and I'll go on to the next one. So this is data processing. So as you know, data is extremely important, garbage in, garbage out, and you need to map the data correctly. The first node that is the most common is the set nodes. On n8n now, it's shown as edit fields, but this is basically where you map data. Like if this is from a previous node, you would put here a value. So you would put something like currency in euros. And if you want to do some math here, if you want to tidy some things up, you would do it all here as well. So let's just come up with an example. So the price, and you would change the data type to number, and you would put something like JSON price multiplied by 100. So if you do this, then price is going to be the price from the previous node multiplied by 100. So 23 is going to become 2300, for example. And you would want to use this when you are mapping data, so it's much more clean and preparing it for the next node and to maintain consistency. And for formatting data before you use it in any other like future nodes. So for example, let's say you want to tidy up like the time format. So you want to change it from year, month, day to like day, month, year, or if you want to include like the time zone in it, then you can do it all in this node as well. So yeah, that's the edit fields. It's very commonly used, and this is something that you must learn. So now going on to the code. This is where you would want to use your coding skills that you have. So if you're a coder, you can use JavaScript or Python. I don't code. If you don't know how to code, just use Claude to write code for you and then just put it in here. And yeah, this is for more deterministic mathematical calculations. And you can also do other data manipulation and data cleansing with other app and integrations native to n8n. So yeah, you can append new rows into Google Sheets. You can insert new rows into the n8n data tables, which is a new feature. So yeah, these four, they're like the main four data nodes that you should know about. And now going on to the flow. So this is how the automation is structured itself. So let's start with the first one. So this is for giving it two different pathways. So let's say, for example, this is for modifying a current appointment time, right? They can either be rescheduling the appointment or canceling it. So you would have a variable like intent here, and you can put reschedule. If they want to reschedule, then yeah, like the workflow is going to break up here. So there's going to be a different flow for rescheduling the appointment. And if it's false, meaning that it's not equal to reschedule, then yeah, you would break it off here and then you create a new branch here. So yeah, that's just basically how an if node works. And then switch is the extension of the if node. So this is if you want to have more than like one routing rule. So the main difference is that on a if node, it's binary. So it's either A or B. But for a switch node, it's going to consider multiple values. So it can be like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let's extend the scheduling workflow. So let's say if the first one is schedule and the second one is reschedule, and the third one is cancel, and the fourth one is just check availability. So availability. So then it's going to break it off into four different flows. So first one will be like schedule a workflow. It's going to create an event on your Google Calendar. And then the second one is just going to be changing the current event on your Google Calendar. Third one is going to be deleting that event. And the fourth one is just going to be checking availability. So yeah, that's just basically how a switch node works. So it's an extension of the if node. And wait. So the wait node, this is just for waiting between two different nodes. So let's say, for example, you sent an email, right? And you're waiting for them to respond. Then you can set a node here. So let's say you're creating a workflow for SMS follow-ups, right? So in that case, you would send the SMS and then you would put a wait node here. And then you would change this to something like 2 days. And if they don't respond within 2 days, then you send another send SMS. So that's just basically what the wait node is for. So now we'll go on to the filter node. The filter node is pretty self-explanatory. You're just determining if the value of A is equal to BCD. So the main difference between the filter and the if node is on the if node, if it's false, then you want to keep them for another branch in the workflow. Whereas for filter, if it doesn't satisfy a certain condition, you just want to abandon them. You will not do any more data processing with them. You're not going to be using it anymore in the workflows. So if you don't need it anymore, you would just use filter. So I'll give you an example, a quick example. So let's just go into string and let's do is equal to true. And I'll say paid invoice. So let's say I want to collect only the clients that have paid their latest invoices. Then yeah, I would just set paid is equal to true. And if they have paid, then they continue in the workflow. And if they haven't, well, we abandon them. We don't use them anymore in the workflow. So that's basically what a filter is. And then the merge node here. So this is when we have like branched out of workflow and we want to combine the data from the two branches, then we would use a merge node here. So I'll just give a quick example. So here I have combined these two. So date and time, edit fields. So edit fields, John, and yeah, to get the current time. And let's just activate this workflow. And on the merge, as you can see here, it combines both of them. So current date, main John. So it prepares the current date and the name for the next part of the workflow. So the next one is limit. So this one is when you are doing like a big bulk processing. So let's say you're going through like 1,000 data points, right? A lot of different software, such as Google Sheets, they have an API rate limit. So you can only do something like 100 API calls a minute. So in that case, you cannot process all 1,000 in a minute. So what you would do in that case is you would split it up into batches. So what limit does here is it splits it into batches. So let's take like batches of 25. Then it's going to send 25 data points into the next node as like a batch. So it's going to send 4 batches of 25 for 100 different data points. So that's limit. And what split out does is it takes a really long like list or JSON file and then it splits out into different data points. So let's say you get a single JSON file as an input, right? And it has 100 objects. It's going to split out the one JSON item into 100 different items. So each object in the JSON file is going to be split out as an individual item. And then loop over items. This is when you want to process each data point individually. So what you would do here is you would link this to loop over items. Once it splits out 100 different objects into this node here, it's going to take each object and it's going to process them individually. Replace me. So just replace this node with something that you want to do with the data. So for example, you could do like edit fields. And then yeah, you can manipulate the data or something in here. And then what it's going to do is it's going to run this node for each and every data point that it receives. And then once it's done, it's going to be in the done branch here. So once you're done with that, you can like, yeah, do something else. So like, for example, like email, like send an email. Yeah, so basically what this would do is it's going to split out a JSON file into the different number of objects that it has. And then it's going to run this node. It's going to loop over each object and process this. And then once it's done, it's going to send an email. So the main difference is that loop over items is going to work on each data object as it's received. So this is really good if you don't have API rate limits, but however, many software, they do have API limits such as Google Sheets. So in that case, you would have to like limit and do batch processing. And then the next two are the webhooks. The webhook, this is just another trigger, but this is from a webhook. How it would work is you would send data to this production URL here, and then select the HTTP method as post. This is the case like 90% of the time. You post data into this webhook, it's going to receive it and to process the data that it receives on this webhook. So you can kind of think of it as like a mailbox where you receive letters and the letter is the data. And then respond to webhooks. If it requests data to be received from the webhook request, then yeah, you would put in respond to webhook, and then you would usually put in first incoming item. And then what it would do is it would send the information back to the webhook that it posted it to. Let's say, for example, if it's an AI voice agent, right? And it's calling an n8n workflow to book an appointment, right? Then it's going to send information to this webhook. So like the person's name, their email, and the date that they want to book. It's going to be posted to this webhook over here. It's going to make the appointment. And then once the appointment has been made, and then it's going to finish off the function with this node here, a respond to webhook. So this is just going to send information back to the AI voice agent, telling them that the appointment was successfully made. So that's basically what a webhook is, and this is essential if you want to build automation. So yeah, these two are must-learns. And then finally, we have API, HTTP request. So this is when you need to retrieve information or make requests to another software. For example, let's say you want to get the current weather information, then yeah, you would put the URL here. You can find this in the API reference doc of the software that you'll be using. So yeah, if it's a GET request, then it's to get information. And if it's delete, it's delete. And patch is usually like to modify, reschedule something, and post is to make a new request. So for example, like adding a new contact into your CRM, for example. Select the method and then select the URL and headers and bodies. So I won't go this in detail in this video, but anyways, that's what an HTTP request is. So this is basically just a way of two different apps communicating. So in this case, it's how n8n communicates with Google Sheets or Go High Level or Notion or whatever software that you want to use. So HTTP request is here. And then this is a second type of HTTP request. So Notion, it has a native integration with n8n, meaning that it's very nicely packaged for you. So all you need to do is just connect your Notion account with an API key and then select what you want. So user get many. So it's going to get all the users in my Notion account. So that's basically what it is. And if you want to see what integrations there are, so just click on plus and then go into action in an app. So all the software that you see here, they have a native integration with n8n. So HTTP requests, they're much more convenient. Just connect your API and it's good to go. So like AWS, cal.com. And if it's not in here, then don't worry. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work. You just have to do an HTTP request. And in order to do so, you just have to look at the API docs and then you can do whatever you like here. Just remember, the sky is the limit when it comes to n8n. So that was it. So these are the most commonly used nodes in n8n, and they are the 20% of nodes that are used 80% of the time. So these are all the nodes that you need to learn. And I do have a bonus here, which is MCP. And if you don't know what MCP is, you can basically think of it as like a USB-C for different apps and software to respond and communicate to each other. An MCP server, it has all the tools connected to it, like an AI agent. And you just need to, for example, let's say I want to build an AI agent that has all the different like Google Sheets tools. Then yeah, I could put in an MCP server here. So MCP client tool. And then yeah, you would enter your MCP endpoint here. So many software, they have officially released their official MCP service, but some of them, they're not available just yet. So what a lot of people do is they just create their own ones, and it is possible to create your own one here as well. So yeah, this one is just a quick example that I made with 11 Labs. So if I want to use an MCP that gets a voice in 11 Labs, converts text to speech, transcribes it, and changes a voice, then yeah, I can just like use this MCP server. So I can just like copy this production URL here, and then yeah, paste it into MCP client endpoint over here. So MCP server, it's relatively new. And if you have used Clot MCP before, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So you'll know how convenient it is. But yeah, basically point is you can make your own MCP server trigger here. It's not that commonly used just yet, but I predict that it will be more commonly used in the future. So yeah, just quickly went over it. So that was it for this video. Now you should be able to start building n8n systems and find it easier to learn n8n. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. If you want a thriving community with weekly calls and a free Go High Level account, join the AI Avengers Lab, our premium community, down below. If you need a comprehensive AI assistant built for your business, book a call with me down below. And if you want one-on-one consulting with me, fill out the form down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.